past 3 o'clock, so we'll get started. Thank you everyone who's joined us, and welcome to Spink, Meet the Team. Hope everyone's having an enjoyable virtual Stampex so far. I'm Ian Murphy. I'm the head of the philatelic auctions here at Spink. Spink, as you may know, auctions many types of collectibles, including coins, banknotes, medals, manuscripts, fine wines, whiskies. I probably missed a few, but of course, stamps. I'm going to today introduce some members of our stamp team. You'll hear a little about each of them, and then we'll talk about what you can expect from an auction house like Spink, when you decide to buy or indeed sell through us. So my role at Spink is to oversee all the philatelic auctions. You can speak to me any time if you have queries or anything to do with buying or selling your stuff. If you've ever watched one of our auctions, you probably see me on the rostrum, hammering down the lots. My time in stamps started off back in Murray Payne, a small dealer located in the depths of Somerset, specialising in King George VI stamps. After 6 or 7 years, I moved to London and ended up at Stanley Gibbons, where I later became the head of Stanley Gibbons Auctions until March of last year, when I finally reached one of my goals of working for the best auction houses and joined Spink. One of the reasons for wanting to join Spink was to work alongside some of the best specialists that I do so now, many of which have been on top of their game for many years. This leads me on to Nick's startup. Nick, who I'm sure many of you have met over the years at exhibitions or have spoken to on the phone or in some capacity on emails to yourselves or what have you. Nick will talk to you a little bit about himself and his speciality and his role here at Spink. And then we will continue on and give you an overview of what we're currently working on here, sales that we've got coming up. So, Nick.
Yeah, I've lost everything now. I presume you can all see me, but I started in 1976 with Robson Lowe, and in 1980, Christie's bought Robson Lowe, so carried on through Robson Lowe. Christie's then acquired Spink, and the stamp department of Christie's was transferred to the Spink side of things, and carried on to this stage to where we are now. I'm one of the auctioneers, as many of you will know, having auctioneered in Singapore, Australia, and here in London. Among one of the very highlights of being an auctioneer here was selling the Queen's collection, the duplicates of, rather, not the whole lot, which it was, and setting a record price in this country for a philatelic item, which was the Mauritius used tuppenny blue, which realised in excess of £1 million. And that's a couple of the highlights. My speciality areas are British Commonwealth, but in particular Straits Settlements, Malaysia and Australia. And it's quite amazing where this job has taken me around the world. It's one of the great things of working for Spink, that you get to see places that you would never normally have seen. And one of the great highlights was actually going to Sarawak to go and look at the collection. So, yeah, many enjoyable days here at Spink. Back to you, Ian.
If you're perhaps joining us from the Far East, maybe in Hong Kong or in China, you've probably come across Neil Granger at some point. Neil is one of our specialists here. Neil's doing a talk that's going to be broadcast on Saturday evening. So if you are able to join, I recommend doing so on Saturday evening. But Neil will give you a quick overview on what his role is here.
Oh, hi there. I started my philatelic career when I was still at school. I did a Saturday job in the stamp shop. Then after university, I worked at Warwick and Warwick for a couple of years, running their Great Britain department. Then I went to the big smoke desk, Stanley Gibbons, again to the auction department. I started off doing Great Britain, then developed into all countries, and well, I did everything really. We had specialised auctions of Gold Coast to the great, the Lions issues of Persia. Then we started the auctions in Hong Kong and Singapore, and I ended up running those. In fact, although Nick said he had to auction in Singapore, I was the first international auctioneer for an auction in Singapore, which is something. Now I've moved to Christie's and now Spink. I head up the Hong Kong auctions, so we have a specialised auction in Hong Kong every January. This next year we've got specialised sales of Tibet and Opium War, so if you're looking for something unusual. And I also do Great Britain, so still got interest in Great Britain. I'm a member of the Fellow of the Royal, a member of the BPA Expert Committee, and a member of the AIEP, which is International Expertisers. Obviously, my areas of interest are Great Britain, China, and Hong Kong. I don't think there's much else, except I think Nick does pit me with the highest selling item. My best one was a few years ago in Hong Kong, which we sold Dowager variety for 6.1 million Hong Kong dollars, but that's not quite, just over half Nick's record, I'm afraid. So it's back to you, Ian.
Thanks. Josh, do you want to talk about yourself? Because I know you've been in Spink longer than I have.
I was muted. I didn't realise I was muted. Sorry. Yes, I've worked in the. My background prior to stamps was more general and antique auctions, and that's how I sort of ended up in stamps. Actually, I was always grown up and going to auction houses with my parents and going to antique shops, and always loved the rummage and search for hidden treasure in antique shops. And then I really got the bug of working for an auction house. I love the buzz of an auction day and always wanted to be an auctioneer. And when I moved to London, I got a job with the Stanley Gibbons Group when Apex was still part of the Stanley Gibbons Group, and had a good few years working with Tim and Rick there, and they taught me many good things, and picked up some interesting Great Britain knowledge from Tim Francis, and also some great business knowledge from Rick, who's a fantastic stamp businessman. Then once Apex sort of became a different company, I stayed with the Stanley Gibbons Auctions for a while, and worked with the auction team there when you were still heading up Murray Payne, I think. Yeah. And then I joined back with Tim and Rick for just under 2 years, working at Mayfair Philatelic Auctions. And that was sort of very much as it was. And I was an auction manager there, but kind of really wanted to devote more time and to sort of devoting my time to stamps themselves and trying to learn more specialist knowledge. My time was mainly spent in the auction team, being a small company. So that's when, very much as you said yourself, one of my goals was to work for one of the leading global auction houses with a real international reach and really top-notch specialists that I could really learn and glean a lot of information and knowledge from, which is what I'm doing now. I feel it's been a great change for me. As much as I love my previous jobs, it's a real change of role, because you've got the likes of Nick and Neil and Dominic and David with varied specialisms that I can really pick their brains. And quite a few philatelists have encouraged me over the years and suggested in the role of working for an auction house and an auctioneer to not specialize too much, but to try and get that sort of broad knowledge that you can have working with such a diverse team of specialists. Yeah,
indeed. And alongside you in the specialist department, also we have Thomas Fell. Tom?
Yeah, thanks, Ian. Without wanting to sound as if I'm introducing myself in the University Challenge, I'm a history graduate from Exeter. Very proud of it. I enjoyed myself very much there, and it's where I learned my passion for the kind of matter of history. And since graduating from Exeter, I worked at a local auction house in my hometown of Penzance, where I was introduced to the nitty-gritty of the auction world. I started as a porter, just hulking around fridges and so on. But they also did fine art sales and antique sales, and there I really started to learn kind of how to catalogue and how to handle these fantastic items from our past. And I really caught the bug for that side of things. And so I wanted to move to London and get into an auction house, and I got a job here at Spink and have been learning the stamp and manuscript trade ever since. There's been a fantastic learning curve, and I couldn't be better placed to do that. Around me, I have the best experts in the industry for the past 40, 50 years, at every turn to ask, what is this? Is this the right shade? And it's been fantastic. And I really do feel privileged to be able to say that I've used my degree in what I do with my work. I enjoy history. I enjoy what history is made of, and now I get to handle history. Both with stamps and manuscripts. There's a fantastic tie over. For example, if you get a manuscript that's gone through the post, let's say a royal letter that's gone through the post, it's then appealing to both markets, and it's really interesting to me. So I've been here for coming up to 3 years, the beginning of April, though it feels a lot longer, thankfully. Hope for many more successful years to come, lots more discoveries.
Okay, so there you have it. You've met some of our stamp team. We also have some specialists, which for one reason or another are not on the call today. We've got specialists in the African market. We've got specialists in postal history and stamps from around the world. So whenever you come to Spink, you're well covered in all areas of philately. But perhaps you're wondering, how does it work when I want to sell my stamps? Perhaps you've inherited a collection, or you've been a lifelong collector. Perhaps you're a specialist and you have an award-winning exhibit, and you now feel that you'd like to pass it on to the next custodian. If you're thinking of selling your stamps and you decide to call Spink, well, first of all, well done, you've made the correct decision in calling Spink. First of all, you'll be greeted by our very friendly concierge service, who will connect you to the stamp department. It's at this point you'll likely speak to Josh or Tom. Josh will then go through the next steps of what you would expect to discuss with us on the first steps of selling your collection. Unmute, Josh.
Yeah, I keep getting muted. There you go. Yes, so exactly. So you come through to the stamp line, and as Ian said, either Tom or myself normally manning that each day. And it's always interesting and exciting to hear from collectors that are either whether they've made the decision that they want to sell some or part of their collection, maybe the whole collection, or just wanting to know maybe the next steps, just tentatively thinking it through, what the process would be, and we are more than happy to help on both of those, whichever instance it is. Basically, what we'd like to know first of all, we may know you already, and it may be a more friendly, casual conversation, and you might want to just talk about the actual selling process, or it might be you've never sold through auction. So we're more than happy to go through from the beginning, how the process would work, the initial valuation. What we normally tend to do in that case, if we haven't seen the collection, or maybe it's something you've inherited, or something you're not sure of the value of it, we'd like to obviously see some scans first, or if you're local to us and provided we're not under lockdown, you might be able to bring the collection in, and we'll sit down with you in one of our client rooms and just take a bit of time over the collection, give you a rough idea of what we think the better items are, look at condition and where we think we could place your stamps, what auction, because we're always working. We've always got auctions, in the pipeline. So we may be, having a specialised sale, and your collection might make a very nice little specialised section in one of those sales, or it might be a more general collection, and we can discuss all of those things. Maybe Tom.
Well, what's fun at that point then is to start thinking about how best to bring that material to the market. And we're more than happy to talk you through the various routes that we can take. And what's proving more and more popular at the moment is our kind of e-auction route. And interestingly, I don't know if you've seen our polls on our page, but 93% of you agreed that the future of stamp auctions is digital. So it's one of these things that we're extremely proud to have this fantastic Spink Live system, and it's a great way to get your collection to the market. A few things that we can do better through selling at e-auction is that we often find that selling really specialized collections through e-auctions mean we can break it down much more sympathetically into much smaller lots through e-auctions in a way that we wouldn't be able to do with catalogues. Another thing is that we can get the material to the market quicker, not waiting on catalogue production, not waiting on the ever unreliable mailing service in the COVID world, and your collection can hit the market with a great deal of impact. And also, it's just, we found talking to our buyers that it's a really fun and intuitive way of bidding. We often find people come back and place bids having been outbid, and they're really engaged. It's been fantastic to see a lot of our clients really engaging with our sales through that online platform. But that's not to say that, given the right material, we've also got the opportunity to enter it into a catalogue and have a more kind of prestige sale for you. So it's fun at that point to start looking at how we might best sell your collection, and we're really eager to talk to you about that.
Yeah, and okay, so I think we've covered selling there, but perhaps you are a buyer, you're still an active collector. Well, at the moment we've got quite a lot going on at Spink. First of all, coming up on April the 13th, we have the Blanet collection of Nyasaland and Rhodesia. Nick Startup is taking care of this sale. Nick, do you want to give a bit of an overview on that one? Nick, you need to unmute, Nick. Nick, do you want to unmute?
Better.
There you go, we can hear you.
There you go, Nick.
Yeah, sorry, I don't. Right, yeah, this is a lovely collection, the Blanet. It put together over many years, and the collector, was trying to get a great range of different material, and including some great rarities and so on. Nyasaland in particular, which starts from the early BCAs right the way through to independence, has things like the check stamp with the inverted vignette and the unissued tuppenny and fourpenny in blocks of 4 over a hand stamped specimen, which is unique. And then moves on through Rhodesia. Rhodesia has got a lovely range of double heads and admirals. And from there, we go into southern and northern Rhodesia, Nyasaland and Rhodesia, with lots of modern, well, I say modern, they're not modern anymore, but varieties and all sorts. It's a good one for the collector. Pick up those missing pieces that they may have in their collection. It should excite the collecting world in that area very much.
Indeed. And following on from the Blanet collection, on the day after, actually, April the 14th and the 15th, we have the Collector Series auction, which Tom's taking care of.
Yeah, it's been great fun to put this together. It's a big sale, it's around 900 lots, and it's our usual Collector Series offering, all world A to Z. But this time with a bit of a twist. It's all online, but with a physical auction. But everything is fully illustrated online on Spink Live, and there's great sections of Ascension with some more kind of specialised collections of the badge issue. We've got some French colonies, Gambia, and some fantastic Iraq, which we all know is fantastically popular at the moment with errors and proofs. Very specialised collection of Madagascar, including the consular mail, and big section of South Africa, as we often do, with all the Africas, including Rhodesia, Sudan, Zanzibar. So really a very wide range. And what's quite exciting, and what we're trying to do more of at the moment, is that we've got, at the moment, excuse me, I'm just receiving a call. At the moment, we have over 60 videos available for you to watch of all the collections. So in this day and age, it may not be possible for you to come in and view. So It's very simple. You go to the Spink Live page and there's a link, and you can go there and view. It will be a video for every collection once we're finished, but at the moment it's certainly the majority. We're more than happy to accommodate you if you need a video or extra scans of a lot. As we say, digital is the future. So do please get in touch.
I think for the average collector, even for more advanced collectors, I think there's something for everyone in there. And if it's the more prestige stamps you're looking for, shortly afterwards we have our sale of important stamps of the world, which Josh is going to give you a bit of an oversight on.
Yep, again, lovely sale, and I'm not sure where all these gems have come from when we finished putting it together, and we're over 1,000 lots, and these really are, very specialized sections and just some beautiful items. There's some specialized areas, including Australian states, a big section of various Australian states with some errors and some lovely covers and other things. Barbados, there's a specialized section of Barbados with Britannia issues and later issues as well, I think. There's some lovely Kenya, Uganda, Tanganyika, and a couple of highlights just to pick out. I mean, I could mention many other areas that make wonderful features in the catalogue, but just to pick out a couple of items, because we often, talk about these, classic stamps being works of art, and two little highlights I wanted to mention. First one is a Southern Rhodesia, the 1937 King George VI definitive issue. Well, we're just going to have an image of it there. You can see these absolutely fantastic hand-painted designs by the chief engraver at Waterloo, who is J.A.C. Harrison, and based on that portrait, he put together these three designs for the 8 and the 2 and 6 there, and they're just stunning, and it just really highlights the designer's impeccable talent for that miniature portraiture. And for any George VI collector, this really is, or Southern Rhodesia collector, or both, it really is an incredibly rare opportunity, and obviously a unique item. So that's going to be one highlight in the sale. And another one of a similar tone is in Southwest Africa, and this one is of the 1931 pictorial issue. And this image you can see is just one of them from the Bradbury Wilkinson archives, but there's actually a hand-painted design for each of the values, for each of the 12 issued values, each on a oh yeah, thank you for doing that. That's very helpful to be able to zoom in, and you can just see the incredible detail. Some of them slightly different to the finished designs, and also a lovely feature of this lot is on the reverse. There's notes by the committee saying, approved once you make this little aspect clearer, or some other little detail which just really brings alive the design process of bringing these wonderful stamps to production. So that's just two highlights that I'd mention, but it'll be going online very soon, and then coming out, so lots to look forward to.
Yeah, indeed. And as we go further forward into June, we've got sales planned already. 2 sales planned in June at the moment, and there could well be additional sales as well. So on the 2nd of June will be the next instalment of our stamps and covers of Great Britain. We've already taken in a large amount of material for this, including no less than 3 Prussian blues. If you are thinking about selling your stamps, and GB stamps specifically, there is a few weeks left. So feel free to give us a call after this meeting, or messages on the virtual booth, and we'll be more than happy to discuss it, getting your stamps entered into one of our sales. I think Betty's just sharing the calendar coming up there. As you can see, it's quite a busy schedule. After the Great Britain sale on June the 2nd, a sale that we've already announced, and we're very proud of, is the Cottonwood collection of Rhodesia double heads. Nick, you've got a bit of an overview on this one, having worked on it.
Yes, indeed. This is a collection that my colleague David Parsons is currently working on. As everyone will know, it's the Robert Gibbs collection. This happens to be the second one that he's put together. He first sold back in 1987. And this is a wonderful collection, the second time around as well, of the double heads. It is just staggering the amount of rarities, multiples, shade variants, and everything. It is a sale for definitely for the specialist, but also the general collector can have a pick at some very desirable items. Yes, it's a magnificent offering indeed.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so as you can see, there's a lot going on at Spink at the moment, whether you're buying or you're selling. So thank you everyone for listening. You know, if anyone has any questions, or perhaps you would rather speak to us privately, then you can message us using the chat function, as I mentioned, on the Spink booth, or feel free to give us a call. All of our details are on the website. Thank you, and I hope all of you enjoy the rest of Virtual Stampex. Has anyone got any questions?